So yes, today is April Fool's, but there's been a lot going on this week that hasn't been April Fool's. I wish some of it was April Fool's.
I know.
Obviously, we got to talk about our president, who had maybe the worst week of his presidency. It seems like I've already talked about that. I said that before. But
Yes.
this week, I really feel like this is the worst week of his presidency so far. I wish some of this stuff was April Fool's, because a lot of it's not good for. Matter of fact, none of it's good for us. Let's just keep it real. And I also wish this was a April Fool's. We have to talk about it. The single biggest news story of the last week. My man Will Smith putting the smack down and putting the Mac down.
Oh Lord.
On Chris Rock. I
Lord
have some
have
ideas.
mercy.
I want to hear what the Rev has to say about
Lord
this.
have mercy.
Because I have some ideas
Christ
about
have
this.
mercy, Lord
And
have mercy.
here in the city of Gary, we do have some good news. Good news about Gary schools for once. Yes. But first, definitely need to get into this very first story. This was from Saturday. This speech was from Saturday from our president, Joseph Robinette Biden, had this to say.
Putin has the gall to say he's denazifying Ukraine. It's a lie. It's just cynical. He knows that. And it's also obscene. President Zelensky was democratically elected. He's Jewish. His father's family was wiped out in the Nazi Holocaust. And Putin has the audacity, like all our autocrats before him, to believe that might will make right. There's simply no justification or provocation for Russia's choice of war. It's an example of one of the oldest human impulses, using brute force and disinformation to satisfy a craving for absolute power and control. It's nothing less than a direct challenge to the rule-based international order established since the end of World War II. These international sanctions are sapping Russian strength, its ability to replenish its military, and its ability to project power. And it is Putin, it is Vladimir Putin who is to blame, period. Don't even think about moving on one single inch of NATO territory. We have sacred obligation. We have a sacred obligation under Article 5 to defend each and every inch of NATO territory with the full force of our collective power. In this battle, we need to be clear-eyed. This battle will not be won in days or months either. We need to steel ourselves for the long fight ahead. A dictator bent on rebuilding an empire will never erase a people's love for liberty. Brutality will never grind down their will to be free. Ukraine will never be a victory for Russia, for free people refuse to live in a world of hopelessness and darkness. We will have a different future, a brighter future, rooted in democracy and principles, hope and light, of decency and dignity, of freedom and possibilities. For God's sake, this man cannot remain in power.
All right, now, so
Ooh-wee.
now, ultimately, that last part is the part that got that got Joe Biden in trouble, because saying that somebody can't remain in power, that essentially signals a policy of regime change.
Yes.
Okay, and as I remind everyone here every week, the United States, Russia have 90% of the world's nuclear weapons. 90%. Vladimir's sitting on, I think, 30-40% on, something like, sitting on a lot of, half of them or whatever, and we're sitting on a lot of them. The reason that Kim Jong-un won't get rid of his nuclear weapons is because he saw what happened to Saddam Hussein. He saw what happened to Muammar Gaddafi. He knows that the only way to stop the United States and NATO from spreading democracy in your particular country is by making sure you got the bomb. And not just any old bomb, the real bomb. Okay.
Oh.
So by threat, so obviously, after saying this, signaling that regime change
Ooh.
is coming to Russia. I mean, obviously, the White House within a few hours, and the many U.S. government figures had to come out and completely, try to
Fix that up.
yeah, they had to walk that back immediately. Also, he did not. He also told the troops that he was speaking to that they would like it, and they would like the people in Ukraine. He wasn't supposed to tell them that either. None of these things were supposed to be said out loud, at least.
Yeah, because we're not supposed to be going to Ukraine.
Right.
Thought that was, the whole thing. They were asking for tanks and no-fly zones,
Yeah.
and they said no.
Because again, Vladimir has the bomb, not just the bomb, the big bomb.
The bomb.
He can kill 100 million people in a few hours.
Mm-hmm.
That type of bomb. And so immediately the White House started to walk it back. A White House official said, well, the president's point was that Putin cannot be allowed to exercise power over his neighbors or the region. That's not what he was saying, but let's go with that.
We'll go with that.
He was not discussing Putin's power in Russia or regime change. And even our allies, like French President Emmanuel Macron, said, well, I wouldn't use that type of wording because I continue to hold discussions with President Putin. That's what he told France 3 TV. He said that he was seeking to hold more talks with Vladimir Putin regarding the situation in Ukraine, as well as an initiative to help people leave the besieged city of Mariupol in the coming days. He said, we want to stop the war that Russia has launched in Ukraine without escalation. That's the objective, noting that the objective is to obtain a ceasefire and the withdrawal of troops through diplomatic means. If this is what we want to do, we should not escalate things, neither with words or with actions. So that's France. Then they had to send Anthony Blinken out there to walk back those statements. Anthony Blinken said that Biden's unscripted declaration that Putin cannot remain in power and assures that America has no strategy he has no strategy of regime change in Russia or anywhere else. Okay, Blinken said that the U.S. was not seeking regime change during his press conference in Jerusalem. The White House quickly cleaned up the remark. They said that the point was that he can't exercise power over his neighbors. So this could be a real gaffe, and I think it really is time. Like it's funny to me that how when the last president was in office, it was okay to talk about the mental state of the president. Rev.
Yeah.
All we talked about was how Trump had lost his marbles.
Right.
Because he was saying things that made no sense, a little sense, or he was. I think it's time to start talking, to question how there is Joe Biden right now. Like, do you think he's all there, right?
You know what? I just think that, he's president and, he's been in politics a long time, and he's seen the script before. President is struggling in the polls. President is struggling to find his way. What can you do to take people's eyes off of the things that are making them unhappy? Gotta find me a war.
Oh, yeah.
It might be a real war. It might be Grenada.
Mm-hmm.
But all you gotta do is find something to get us to forget about what we're mad about at you. And so we get mad at somebody else and get to jangling our spurs and rattling our sabers, and we'll forget all about that we didn't like you, whoever that is sitting in 1600 Pennsylvania, because we like that other person even less than you. And so there you go.
Absolutely.